The morning sun broke through the clouds over the base like a blade of gold slicing through gray. Dust swirled in the air, the sound of boots echoing on the parade ground as soldiers gathered for the ceremony. No one spoke much that day. There was something heavy in the air, something sacred. The flag rippled in the wind, and beneath it stood a young officer, tall and composed, her uniform immaculate, her chest gleaming with medals that told stories of sacrifice and courage. Her name was Captain Alina Tariq, the youngest officer ever to command her unit and one of the few women to have done so. But there was something about her presence, quiet, powerful, almost haunting, that made even the most seasoned soldiers straighten their spines. Among those assembled was Major Hamza Qureshi, a man known for his unshakable discipline, his sharp tongue, and his intolerance for anything he deemed undeserved. He had served for 20 years, seen combat across borders, and buried more friends than he cared to count. To him, rank was sacred, something earned with blood not given by chance or sympathy. And as he stood watching the new captain take her place beside the higher officers, a flicker of skepticism burned in his chest. A captain? At her age? He thought bitterly. These days they hand out stars like candy. When the ceremony ended and the officers began to disperse, Hamza approached her. The air around them seemed to tighten. Alina turned, her calm gaze meeting his, a gaze that didn't flinch, didn't bend. Captain Tariq, Hamza said, his tone carrying the edge of authority. I've read your file. Impressive on paper. But in the field, paper doesn't mean much. She said nothing. He continued. I don't mean to offend, but I believe rank should come from experience, not... He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes catching the medals pinned to her uniform, particularly one, the bronze glint of the Gallantry Cross. His breath caught. Beneath the medal's edge, engraved in tiny letters, was a name he knew too well. His own, Major Hamza Qureshi. For a moment he couldn't speak. The sounds of the bass faded, the wind stilled, and time seemed to freeze around him. He took a step closer, his throat dry. Where did you get that medal? He asked quietly. Alina's lips parted slightly, and her voice, calm but trembling with something deeper, broke the silence. It was awarded posthumously, to the man who saved my life. That single sentence cracked open something inside him, a dam of memories he had buried long ago. The medal, he remembered, was given for an operation 7 years earlier, an ambush near the border that went horribly wrong. His unit was torn apart by an unexpected strike, and amidst the chaos he had dragged a wounded recruit out of the fire, shielding them with his own body. He'd been evacuated half-conscious, and when he woke, he was told the recruit hadn't survived. He never even learned her name. Until now. Hamza's voice faltered as he whispered, That was... You? Alina nodded, her eyes glistening. I was that recruit, sir. You carried me out. They said you wouldn't make it. I never saw you again. Her words hung in the air, heavy with gratitude and sorrow. I thought you were gone. When I woke in the hospital, all they gave me was this medal. Your medal. I kept it with me every single day. There was silence. Hamza felt his legs weaken, his chest tightening with something he couldn't name. Guilt, relief, disbelief. He had spent years thinking that operation had been his greatest failure, that he hadn't saved anyone. But here she stood, alive, strong, wearing his name over her heart. He looked at her, truly looked, and saw not just an officer but a survivor molded by the fire he once dragged her from. Days passed, but the image of that medal burned in his mind. Hamza couldn't shake the feeling that life had given him a second chance, a chance to see what his sacrifice had meant. He began to notice things about Captain Alina that others missed. The quiet way she led, the way her soldiers trusted her completely, the way she visited the wounded after every drill. She didn't shout, didn't command through fear. She led through strength earned from pain. He started to realize that she wasn't just deserving of her rank, she embodied it. But beneath her calm surface, Alina carried scars, not all visible. That night in the ambush had changed her. The screams, the smell of smoke, the feel of blood on her hands, and they never left her. Every mission since then was a battle not just against enemies, but against memories that clawed at her mind. She had pushed herself relentlessly, trying to live up to the life she'd been given, trying to prove that his sacrifice had been worth it. When she learned years later that Major Hamza had survived, She had quietly followed his career, hoping one day to serve under his command, to show him what his act had created. But fate had twisted it differently. Now she outranked him, and that in her eyes was the cruelest irony. One evening, after a long training exercise, Hamza found her sitting alone near the old memorial wall where the names of the fallen were carved into stone. She was tracing the letters with her fingers, eyes shimmering with the reflection of the candles that burned beneath each name. He approached slowly, stopping beside her. "You come here often?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Every week. These names. They remind me of what it costs to wear this uniform, of what I owe." She paused, her voice tightening. "I live for those who didn't come back. That's what you taught me, even if you never knew it." Hamza swallowed hard, his throat thick with emotion. "I didn't save you for medals, Captain," he said. "I did it because that's what soldiers do. We protect each other," she smiled faintly. "And I became a soldier because of that." The months that followed changed everything. The skepticism between them turned into respect, then understanding, and finally a bond neither could explain. Hamza began to see the military with new eyes, not as a hierarchy of ranks and titles, but as a family bound by invisible threads of sacrifice. And Alina, for the first time in years, began to forgive herself for surviving. Then came another mission, a rescue operation deep in hostile terrain. The terrain was treacherous, communication unstable, and the weather merciless. When their convoy was ambushed, chaos erupted just like it had years ago. This time it was Alina who made the impossible choice. Amidst the explosions and gunfire, she pulled a wounded Hamza from the wreckage, refusing to leave him behind. As bullets ripped through the night, she shielded him, echoing the same act he had once done for her. Hours later, reinforcements arrived. They found Alina unconscious but alive, her arm shattered, her uniform soaked in blood. And there, lying across her chest, the gallantry cross still gleaming with his name, had taken a bullet meant for her heart. When Hamza woke in the hospital, the first thing he saw was that medal resting on his bedside table, bent, scarred, but whole. Alina sat nearby, pale but smiling weakly. "Looks like it saved us both," she whispered. And in that moment, Hamza realized something profound. Heroism isn't measured by medals, but by the lives we touch and the courage we pass on. Months later, during another ceremony, Hamza stood before a crowd of soldiers as he pinned a new medal on Alina's chest, this time engraved with her name. His voice trembled as he said, "This medal doesn't belong to just one of us. It belongs to every soldier who stands when it's easier to fall, who carries the weight of another when their own legs can't hold. It belongs to those who give and those who live to honor that gift." The crowd erupted in applause, but for them, it wasn't just ceremony. It was a moment of truth. Two lives intertwined by sacrifice had come full circle. The medal that once carried his name had become a symbol of shared strength, unbroken courage, and the unspoken bond between those who serve. And as the flag waved high above them, both of them knew, sometimes the greatest victories aren't won on battlefields, but in hearts that refuse to forget. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of courage, sacrifice, or the unseen heroes among us, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who believes in the strength of the human spirit. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Special request: comment below with the words, "For those who never came home," to honor every silent hero whose story deserves to be remembered.